Top 10 singers of all time. Number 10, Biggie Smalls. Biggie isn't the best rapper ever, but for his time in the mid-90s he was because he made great music. He had a unique style and delivery and his flow was undeniably amazing. He talked about real street, everyday life situations. Everything he ever rapped about was his own life. He had a very great and articulate wordplay, which allowed him to define the East Coast on the map big time. What Biggie brought to the hip-hop genre was shaping it into something nobody had ever experienced before. His voice was amazing, and so was his writing skills. Big songs actually had meaning, and on every track a story was told, unlike so many of today's typical rappers. The notorious B.I.G. is an icon of East Coast rap, and I believe he well deserves to be number 10 on my list. Number 9, Mick Jagger. Mick Jagger is the lead singer of one of the greatest rock and roll bands of all time, the Rolling Stones. The band unleashed hit after hit over their career. Tons of classic rake songs have been written and recorded by the Rolling Stones since they went huge in the mid-60s. Mick Jagger had amazing stage presence and was entertaining on stage, but most of all his voice was brilliant. Keith Richards' guitar playing mixed with Jagger's vocals made the Rolling Stones the only band able to stand up to the Beatles back in the day. The Stones will always be known as one of the best bands of all time for good reasons. Jagger's voice is incredible and definitely belongs at number 9 on my list. Number 8, Robert Plant. Robert Plant had one of the most incredible and unique voices of any rock band singer. He was able to sing in so many styles, from hard rock, blues, rock and roll Elvis style, folk, pop, and even reggae. He was able to change his voice to fit every song he wrote and express all the emotions you could think of. Yeah, he was the only singer of one of the most iconic bands ever, Led Zeppelin. An incredible singer that sang from his heart, well deserved at number 8. Number 7, Kurt Cobain. Kurt Cobain was a natural talent. He had an amazing voice and was an incredible songwriter, guitarist, and a really good person. Unfortunately, he was very troubled and sensitive. Life became too difficult for him and he committed suicide. One of the most impacting tragedies I have ever learned about. When I first listened to Nirvana, I was blown away with the brimming emotion he had in his voice. It was so powerful that it seemed you could feel the pain he had inside while he sang. I truly believe Kurt Cobain is one of the greatest singers of all time because of the fact he was able to express his pain through his voice. I believe he is a very underrated singer. Number 6, Chance the Rapper. I personally love Chance the Rapper. It amazes me how underground he is because he has so much talent. His standout album, Acid Rap, proves he is a genius. From his hit single Cocoa Butter Kisses to Everything's Fine outro, Chance is amazing because he makes his voice work so well with his music. From the unique lyrics to the iconic voice he has, Chance is definitely one of the most original and memorable rappers I've ever listened to. Acid Rap is a modern-day masterpiece because of its style and lyrics. Everything about Chance the Rapper is amazing in its own way. I won't be surprised if his career blows up in a few years because his talent is phenomenal. Number 5, Freddie Mercury. Many people say Freddie Mercury is the best singer of all time, and for good reason. He was known for his charisma, heart, musical genius, variety, able to change styles of his music, and most of all, his vocal range and his amazing, unique voice. It can't be denied that no other singer in history could top Freddie Mercury's vocal range. He drew the world's attention with his singing, and not only was he perhaps the best singer of all time, but he was legendary for his stage presence. It is hard to think of an artist that can match his vocal range. Queen is amazing because of his talent. Number 4, Chris Martin. Chris Martin is lead singer, rhythm guitarist, and pianist for the alternative band Coldplay. The band has won multiple Grammy Awards over the years, one being their amazing debut album, Parachutes. Chris Martin is an amazing singer because all of his albums are amazing, and even more impressive is his talent of songwriting. His voice just sounds so perfect with his use of lyrics. I find his voice unique and smooth with the powerful lyrics, which allows Coldplay to be one of the greatest modern-day bands. Every album Coldplay has made is brilliant, and the style never disappoints. From the guitar riffs to Martin's brilliant voice, he is one of the greatest talents in history, and Coldplay is an amazing band for its incredible discography. Number 3, John Lennon. I believe John Lennon is one of the most influential people in history. His message of peace, love, and happiness will forever be remembered. In the 1960s and 70s, Lennon was revolutionary in changing negative social values. His lyrical tone was unmatched and musical prowess sensational. John Lennon was a musical pioneer and a peaceful man. He helped introduce the world to rock and roll and free thought. He was the singer of the most prolific band that ever lived, the Beatles, and his voice was greater than any singer at the time because, besides his music partner, Paul McCartney, he was a pure talent and will always be missed. Number 2, Kanye West. Kanye West is one of the most important artists of our time because he's changed the way we listen to pop music. He can make an album fully auto-tuned and make it sound good, completely blowing away his fans away with each album he releases. The electro-heavy album 808s and Heartbreak rings out more emotion out of synthesized auto-tune than you would ever expect. The album is considered to be one of the most influential in hip-hop's history because of West's willingness to experiment, and for that reason, he has shaped much of the way we listen to pop music. Kanye is clearly the frontrunner for best rapper of all time because he is a lyrical genius and his voice is incredible. He brought soul to hip-hop with his sick production skills in every album. There's no denying that Kanye West makes amazing music. Look at his discography and you will see that all seven albums are masterpieces, especially my Dark Twisted Fantasy, which I think is the second best album of all time. Kanye West is a legend, and I think he will always be the best rapper that ever lived due to his creativity, talent in production, and most of all, his lyrics and the way he uses his sick voice to deliver them. Number 1, Paul McCartney. When I first heard that my second favorite singer of all time, Kanye West, was collaborating with my all-time favorite singer, Paul McCartney, I was blown away. Two of the best artists making an album together sounds like it could easily be one of the best albums ever released, and so far the singles are downright amazing. Kanye and Paul's Only One sounds like a modern day Beatles song, but with Kanye being the lead singer, and 4 or 5 Seconds featuring Rihanna is also a masterpiece of a song with 3 amazing artists all working together. Anyways, I must say that Paul McCartney has to be the best singer that ever lived. He, along with John Lennon, was a lead singer of the Beatles. Paul's voice is like no other singer's, with his incredible vocal range, an amazing variety of tones throughout his entire career, varied singing techniques and attitudes and projections towards his music. His voice was very well suited for the songs he sang, and at age 70, he's still going strong. Paul showed the world that he sang from his heart, and that he didn't sing for money, but for the passion he had for singing and songwriting. I honestly believe Sir Paul McCartney is the biggest legend that ever lived. He has written and sang some of the most powerful songs throughout his solo career, and especially in his prime years, when the Beatles ruled the world with their influence in the 60s. Kanye West may be the best rapper, but he isn't the best singer that has ever lived and is still living today. Paul is. Thank you for listening to my top 10 favorite singers of all time. I hope you enjoyed listening to it as much as I enjoyed stating my opinions.